Hey, everybody, welcome to Shark Scrapper Live, where we are on a mission to learn everything we can about what's happening in the world of scrap. And every Sunday, we talk about what's going on in the precious metals market, the industrial metals. We talk about safety. And then we take a look at just, stuff happening in the world that influences our world of scrapping and recycling. It is great to be here with you this week. I appreciate everybody's understanding. Last week we had a windstorm came through, took down some trees. I was out with the neighbors trying to get the street opened up again, so I appreciate your understanding there. David Philly, welcome. JR Cat, great to have you here. Truck fan is not sure if he's going to be joining us, but if you do, great. Scrapping Irish, always good to have you around. Roger at CU Scrapping, great to have you here. Electronic Scrapper, wonderful to see you today. We're going to have a lot of fun today. I've got some really interesting subjects lined up, and there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. But one of the first things I want to show you is just what a crazy week it's been. Here you see I finally got this Gaylord filled up. This is going to new client Mint Innovation. And this Gaylord is full of, it's sort of a mix of mid grade and low grade. We negotiated a pretty good price for that for the whole Gaylord box. So that's roughly 600-ish pounds. It's a little more than 600 pounds of boards that are going to be heading that way. Um, some of you will remember that Mint Innovation is a company that was interviewed the same time that I was by Business Insider. And I have stayed in touch with them. They're opening a new plant here in the United States down in Texas. And they recently started buying boards. Now, I don't know if that's to have a stockpile of things ready to go for when their plant is open later on this year, or if they're just generating cash flow and getting their buyers into the market and such. So, not really sure what's happening completely, other than the fact that they're buying boards for me. So, some boards I sell to boardsort.com, some I'm selling to Mint. I can tell you that once this Gaylord is packed up and out of here this week, I will be filling up a Gaylord box for boardsort.com. So never a dull moment in the shark cage. Let's see. Let's get down here and see what's going on down here. All right. So I hope you all have had a great week and are keeping busy and enjoying things as it's going. Now let's get right into our subject for this week is gold. And we love talking about gold, don't we? And it's been on a tear. I mean, just on a tear. First of all, let's get this disclaimer out of the way. I am not sponsored by AppMex. I do not get any advertising money out of AppMex. AppMex is just one of the many services I've used to buy and sell physical gold and silver. And that's the only way that I recommend people hold gold and silver. I do strongly encourage people to have gold and silver in their portfolio, and the kind of gold and silver that you actually hold on to, whether that's bars or rounds. AppMex is one of many places where you can get it. JM Bullion's another good place. There's plenty of places where you can purchase gold and silver bullion or collector coins at spot. I mean, at with a little premium over spot. You also want to check in with your local coin dealers and pawn shops. They frequently have gold and silver as well, and sometimes you can negotiate better premiums with them depending upon what their situation is. So it is definitely worth having. Now let's talk about what's going on with gold. Well, right now we're just looking at the 3-day chart, and it's down. It says it's down, 0.17%. But let's not be fooled by that, because we know what's really going on. Gold has been on a tear. Here we are, the 1-week chart. We're up 1.45%. For the month, we are up 6.47%. Look at that. That's just such, I mean, this is right here. This is such a nice curve, a nice slope heading on up. That's the kind of stuff we like to see. And if we look at the 3 month, we're up 7%. That was even after we had a little bit of a dip early on. And year to date, look at that. That is just, that's what we like to see. Nice upward climb on gold there. So we just see that gold is on a tear. And then if we look at the year, the difference between year to date and the year is, if you can see right down here, the 1 year goes back 365 days. So it goes back to February of 2024. Year to date, whenever you see that, that's as of the beginning of the year that you're in. All right, so let's go back for the whole year, and we're up 42.8%. That is some serious, serious value there going on. Let's take a quick look here at our trading economics charts. I enjoy looking at these because I can bring up the candlesticks, plus they also provide some good summary explanation for what is happening in the market. So we see the gold traded around 2009.30. It's near record highs. The high was 29.50, and there's a lot of folks out there that are saying it's going to push 3,000. So there's, and it's funny because I have started seeing these advertisements. Gold is at all time high. You should buy gold. You should buy gold. Now is a great time to already have the gold. This is not necessarily a great time to be buying gold. But why is gold on such a tear? Why do we see this happening right now? And basically, it's when we see gold and silver go crazy like this, it means that investors are very nervous. And it should not be a surprise to anybody that what's going on here is the combination of the current administration's tariffs. They've recently announced tariffs on lumber, cars, semiconductors, pharmaceuticals. They got the 10% on China. They got the 25% on steel and aluminum. It's the tariffs are creating a lot of turmoil and uncertainty in the market, and that is really driving the prices for gold. Plus, you've got other things going on, like inflation is starting to pick up here in the U.S., and that is going to force investors to move into more, what they consider safer assets like gold and silver. Plus, you take a look at what happened to the markets. Here you got the S&P tanking, going down in record numbers. You've got these kind of headlines out there. Markets tumble on sell-off. The Dow and the S&P are down. When you see those kind of things, that is going to drive investors into safe havens like gold and silver, or defensive stocks like utilities and such. So, what does that mean for us as people that, I'm sure that a lot of us, I'm pretty sure that a lot of you have gold and silver that you invest in. But from the perspective of what's going to happen for our scrap, gold is the primary influencer on our printed circuit boards because that's what the end market is really after. They want to take the boards, they want to process them to get the gold and the silver and the platinum and other stuff, but primarily the gold from those boards. And I said gold so many times, I'm sure that Scrapping Irish is just going nuts right now. So we should expect some really good prices from the people that buy our printed circuit boards. And if we take a look at the forecast that that we get from trading economics, take a close look right here inside the box. What we're seeing there is there may be a little bit of a downturn and then it come back up again, but It's not going to crash. And so what that says is that probably, very likely, prices on our that people are offering for the circuit boards that we're selling is going to remain strong, probably even going up. It would take a serious correction at this point to drive the prices down. So you should be looking for prices to be good and strong, perhaps even going up. And I've heard from some of my contacts out there that there will be increases coming up in the next week or so for scrap boards. So it's a good time to be selling circuit boards. Now, I know a lot of pit folks then say to themselves, "Well, should I hang on? Is it going to go up even more?" And that's where you got to be really careful now when you're talking about I want to hang on to it and try to get the top of the market. Um, the folks at Trading Economics are saying they're expecting 2009-39. So not a huge difference from where we're at. And if they were if the big investors, the Trading Economics, those kind of big investors, if they were all saying, "Oh, 3,000 for sure, maybe even better," then there may be some argument for hanging on to some of your boards. But basically, what they're saying is, it's going to come up, it's going to go up some more, but not a whole lot. And there's only so much that's going to go on, right? I mean, we're at all time high. We're right around all time highs here. This is the 1 year. Let's look at the 5 year chart here real quick. Whoops, let's do this and then go to the 5 year chart. So, that's a pretty steep climb on the 5 year chart. Here's 10 years. We're looking at really high numbers right now. So, how much more are we really going to get out of this? Um, it it's one of those things where I'm not going to take the gamble. I'm going to sell the material that I have. My usual modus operandi when it comes to my circuit boards is when I have enough to sell, I sell it. A lot of that is because I need the cash flow anyway. I'm running a business. I have to generate cash flow. So for me, there's always a portion of material that will be getting sold on a regular basis. Um, Now, for a hobby scrapper who wants to try to, get the most that they can, maybe you hang on for another week or two and see what happens. Look for watch board sort and see if their prices go up here in the next week or two, or your local yard, and then go ahead and make that sale. People that try to time the market and sell at the very top of the market, they tend to miss more than they hit. So it's I don't play that game. I don't play that game with stocks. I don't play that game with my metals. And I don't recommend that other people play it too, because uh, it can you can get burned as easily as anything else. Now, if you want a way to play this and kind of hedge it a little bit, is maybe you don't sell everything. So maybe you keep some of it behind. You know how I am with copper, right? I keep 10% behind. So maybe you keep some of your printed circuit boards behind. You sell them in the next week or two if prices go up, but keep some back as a way to say, well, maybe I can get a bit more too if it goes up again. And whether that's 10%, 20%, half of them, that all depends on your risk comfort with where the gold market is going to go and how much higher it's going to get. As always, when I talk about this, I can't help but just, feel a little bit bad, because it's great to see the gold market go up, right? I mean, I could sell some of the physical gold that I have right now and really make a good profit on it. I will be selling boards and making a good profit, but it there's a part of me that understands that the reason why gold prices are so high is because a lot of other stuff is not going well. Uh, and we're going to be dealing with the inflationary factors as a direct hit on our pocketbooks here, and that's always uncomfortable. So I always have these mixed feelings when I see gold going crazy like this. All right, well, let's go over and see what is everybody saying about gold. Where do you all see gold going, and what do you think is going to be happening? I got a pop up one up going up here for a while, a little bit in the comments. I'm scrolling up through the comments to see what folks have had to say about gold and see who else has joined us here for the day. Let's see. Homer's Reluctant Honesty is in the house. Daniel Houston's in the house. Great to have you all here. Patrick Williams is in the house. Always great to have everybody here. Um, Daniel saying he wish he'd put their plant closer down where he's at. We're more of an industrial area. They probably wouldn't be getting the flack they're getting where they want to open shop. Um, yeah, Daniel, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by the flack. They've actually had some pretty good support from their local community and from Texas in general. So, but they're down in Texas, and for me, that's going to be an interesting thing when I start actually shipping to them. Right now, where I'm shipping to is a group in Maryland that they're working with. So the shipping costs for me to are kind of not that bad because they're just going to Maryland right now. Be interesting when I have to start shipping to Texas how that's going to change things. JR Cat is making a really good comment here with pawn shops that they would crack money for silver. Yeah. Here's how this works in with pawn shops and coin dealers. It's all about the relationship that you have with them. You don't walk in for the first time and expect to wheel and deal with them on silver or gold, whether you're buying or selling. You want to develop that relationship over time. So you find a shop that you're going to deal with, and you go in regularly and buy silver from them or gold from them, especially when the prices are low. That way they get to know you. They know that you're seriously into this. And then when the prices are up and you want to sell to them, now you've got a little bit of ability to negotiate with them because they know you, and sometimes they'll be willing to do that. I remember when silver pegged out a few years back at almost $50 an ounce. I was able to actually get $50 an ounce because I had been developing a relationship with that particular dealer for about 3 years leading up to that. And so he knew me, he knew what I had because, well, he had sold me most of it. And he was in a bind because people wanted to, it was one of those things. Silver was up. So a lot of people were buying silver thinking it was going to keep going up. He ran out of silver. He said, look, I'll buy whatever you got. I'll give you $50 an ounce. So it's all about the relationship that you have with the coin shops and the pawn shops in your area, which is very different than an APMEX or a JM Bullion or those folks because you don't really build a relationship with them. They don't know you from the hundreds of other customers that they have. Coin shop, pawn shop, it's all about the relationship. Uh, oh, Daniel, that's interesting. So you're saying people are petitioning to keep mint innovation out of your area? Wow, I hadn't heard that. The mint people hadn't revealed that to me, and I heard about that. So that's really interesting, and I kind of agree with what Roger's saying here. I don't understand why people would want that. I mean, first of all, there's jobs associated with what they're doing. Plus, they are a more environmentally friendly way to extract gold and silver than the current methods of extracting gold and silver. So that's really weird. Maybe some local folks just don't understand what they're doing, which is a possibility. And that would be unfortunate. But I sure hope they get that resolved. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. I appreciate that, and I'll keep an eye on it. I'll see if I can't dig up some more information on it. Let's see what else do we have going on here. Let's see who else has joined us. Let's see, HH Recycling. Great to have you here. Everyday Solars, welcome to the show. Great to have you here. Richard Hulbert, great to have you here. And he's saying that he has a lot of gold in the bank. Um, his bank is piles of computers. Well, technically, that's not wrong. You could take those computers and sell them to somebody. Uh, it's not quite the same as having real physical gold in the bank, but it's pretty close. Pretty close. Yeah, Daniel, I agree with you. Right now, I'm not buying any gold. I might sell. In fact, I might sell some of my gold for sure. Let's see. People saying hi to everybody as they're coming and going. Let's see. Plain Scrapper, welcome. Great to have you here, Plain Scrapper. I'm looking for comments on gold. I'm just scrolling through looking for what folks are saying here. I know some folks. Yeah, there's some comments here about Fort Knox. I, I don't believe that the gold is gone in Fort Knox. That I think that's a lot of urban myth stuff going on. Um, Anfield Road Layout. Great to have you here. I enjoy. I'm glad you're listening in. Ba, 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 ba. Still going through the gold stuff here. Homer's Reluctant Odyssey is saying that the location in Maryland is near him. £1,000 minimum, but they pay well. Yeah, they're paying pretty good. It depends. Again, when you talk the prices with them, what's going on. I've had some folks actually tell me that they were disappointed in the prices they were offering. So I'm not sure what's going on there either. I mean, of course, when you call their buyer and you're working out the prices, that's what you and that person and that buyer work out. So I can't really comment directly, but definitely, they're definitely started buying. So that's a good thing. Yeah, MRP in Hunt Valley. That's where it's going to. And so I'm curious: are you selling directly to MRP or are you selling to the mint buyer? I'd be curious to see if there's a difference there. Okay, Daniel saying they're worrying about it from the environmental view. They don't understand it. They saw this on Dallas news station. Interesting. That's really interesting. I suspect that what the folks from Mint are going to have to do a little PR and try to help people understand what they're doing and why they're less environmentally damaging than a lot of what people think of as the classic kind of gold and silver extraction process that goes on. And certainly, some people aren't going to understand the process, and that's going to make them nervous as well. So I can see where, yeah, they're going to have to do some PR work. They're going to have to get out and explain things to people and help people understand what they're doing. Um, I haven't heard any issues from their plant in Australia or their pilot plant in New Zealand. And Australia and New Zealand, they can be very eco-centric kind of countries. So would have thought that if there were environmental issues, that we would have heard more from their operations in New Zealand and or Australia. So I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. Daniel, please keep us posted as this moves on. It sounds like you're directly there getting the news, and that's great. Thank you for sharing that with us. Sixth Street Garage, welcome to the show. Great to have you here. And ba, 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 ba. All right, I'm just going through looking for more. All right, I'm at the bottom of this. Got to the bottom of the pile here, pretty much. So, uh, uh, that is we've got to the bottom. Look at this one comment here. It's like, Politics Shark needs to get rid of his. This is a Navy mug. This is a Naval Academy mug. I'm not getting rid of this. Are you kidding? I'm proud of going that I went to the Naval Academy. All right, so our next topic is weather safety. Now, why did I pick weather safety this week? We had really weird weather going on. We've had windstorms. We've had uh, frigid weather come through, well below freezing, dangerous temperatures. We went back to warm. We've had rain. We've had snow. We've had ice. Uh, it's like um, the weather's been all over the place. And the weather can be uh, a huge factor in safety whether you're out. So whether you go out to you're out driving to do your pickups or your street scrapping, or you're at your shop working on things, you got to really pay attention to the weather. And so I thought I would address this a little bit different. Instead of talking about the dangers or the risks associated with the weather, I thought I would just take a few minutes to talk about the ways that you can pay attention, get the information that you need about the weather. So obviously, one of the first places that you can go here in the United States to get your weather is the National Weather Service. What I like about the National Weather Service tools is, they're a government organization, so they're not profit motivated. You don't have to put up with all the advertisements that you do on the Weather Channel, and they don't have all the hype and hoopla that a lot of the weather forecasters have out there because they're just trying to grab your eyeballs. The folks at the National Weather Service are just doing their best to put out the most accurate forecast and warnings that they can. And you can go to this map. If you go up to this box up here, let me highlight it for everybody. If you go up to this box on the National Weather Service site, you can put in your zip code or your city and state. And then when you click on it, it'll take you right to your location. Or if you don't want to do that, you can always just go on the map. Most people know what county they're in, what it kind of looks like. So, you can go right there. And so here's, you've got the US and you can see kind of what's going on. By the way, these color codes, you just look down here and you'll see what they correlate to. Sometimes it can be a little bit hard to differentiate the shades. So if you want to just click right into, let's just pick one here. We click right there. Where's this taking us to? Glasgow. So here you can, get the zoom in. And when you zoom in on your area, you get words on the forecast, you get greater definition on the forecast. If you put in your zip code, you'll actually get, so for instance, let's do this, 32258. That's when I was in Florida. So, you go here. Now you get your current conditions. You'll get your forecast for the next few days with some graphics to help you see. And boy, I used to see this rain graphic so much in Florida. You get your detailed forecast descriptions. You get a little maplet that gives you more information. And then you can go down here and you can click on radar or satellite. So, here you can get your radar and you can see the radar for that area. Or you can go back and you can see the satellite image and you can, like just click on whatever one you really like. Here's the animated loops. And, as a forecaster myself, having a master's in meteorology and having forecasted the weather a lot, I really appreciate satellite imagery, the charts, and the data to help me understand what's going on. But even as the average person who has a passing interest and hasn't studied meteorology, this is really useful because, yep, you got clouds coming. All right. So, National Weather Service, really good tool, a great way to get the weather and to see what's going on. Now, here's another tool that I really like that I want to bring to your attention. It's a YouTuber. The guy's name is Ryan Hall, y'all. What I like about this channel is the guy is a weather. He knows weather. He's got people, meteorologists, that support him, and he'll do a big picture. A couple times a week, he'll come out and let you know what's going on, let you know what you're looking at for potential long range kind of impacts. And then when there is a severe weather outbreak, whether it's tornadoes or ice storms, he'll go live and he'll do a live broadcast with storm chasers and with people sending in pictures of what's going on in those locations. He is able to access traffic cams and other sources through other places. So it is a great way to get information that is live and happening. And what I like about him is, yeah, he's on YouTube, but he's not one of these guys that's doing all the hype and oh my God, the world is going to end and it's going to be the worst winter storm in history and, that kind of stuff. He'll go through, he'll have maps and he's talking about, what the maps are showing. He will tell you, this map is based on such and such a model. And here's the biases that we usually see in the model. So, and he's going to be one of the first people to tell you, this model will over forecast like, in this kind of way. So I wouldn't get too worried, or this is still 5 days out. So we expect a lot change. Whereas some of the other folks that you'll see will just really play up what they're talking about, just trying to get your eyeballs. He'll go through and do some analysis on radar and satellite imagery and, oops, the charts. So it's just a really good channel. If you're in the United States, I recommend that you check out Ryan Hall, y'all, and have him queued up in your favorites. Go ahead and subscribe to his channel because, again, he gives a lot of good information and he's not hyping things up just to get your eyeballs on what he's doing. Highly recommended. And that's from one meteorologist to another meteorologist. I really like the work that he does. Anybody else out there use Ryan Hall? I know Mike, E-Waste Mike, uses them because, in fact, E-Waste Mike was the guy that told me about this channel. So I certainly know that there are some other folks out there that that like to use them. What about y'all? Let's see. What kind of comments have you all had to say about? Let's see. All right, we're at the top here. Um, few more comments about mint going on. Let's see. Shiraz, welcome, welcome, welcome. William Wallard, welcome. Great to have you all here. Um, yeah, Richard was commenting about what I just happened to click on, up there in the Northwest, and it's just cold and windy all the time. Oh, it's just funny. We used to say similar things about Florida. It's like, oh, it's going to rain. Oh, afternoon thunderstorms. It's like, yeah, that's what happens. Oh man. Ba-ba-ba-ba-da-da-da-da. There are more people in the Orlando area than there are in Montana and Idaho combined. Oh, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, plane scrappers making a good point there. When you live on the plains, you keep an eye on the weather all the time. Depending upon where you live on the plains, you might be able to see it. Literally, walk out the door and see it. So yeah, it's a big deal. Certainly a big deal. Okay, Jay Arcat is saying that he uses Ryan. Yeah. Roger at CU Scrapping, he uses it. Very cool. Very cool. Um, Plane Scrapper likes to look at Ryan when there's some tornado warnings going on. Very cool. Um, Homer's Reluctant Odyssey. I watch Ryan Hall for weather because I have family and friends spread over the country. He helps keep me informed. Yeah, he does a real good job with that, doesn't he? Um, uh, Daniel, not sure. I mean, certainly I didn't cut anybody off. Could have been an issue with just with your internet or something, but I didn't cut anybody off. All right. Well, I gave you a couple good sources for weather. Between those two, I don't know what else you need, except if you lose power and you don't have any connectivity, you want to make sure you have something like this. This is a very cool little radio. It's These things have come a long way. And you know what you can do? This one has AM, FM, and weather band. A chance of rain showers until midnight. Lows in the mid 30s. Chance of rain 50%. Friday, mostly sunny. Highs in the lower 50s. Friday. But what I really like about this model, and I ought to see, maybe I can put this on my Amazon store, because I have an Amazon store where I put all my tools. I'll see if I can add this to the Amazon store. But what I like about this one is it has a solar cell up here to recharge the battery. It has a hand crank. So if it's cloudy and rainy and you can't recharge, you can always hand crank it so that you can get it going and listen to the weather. You can plug it in and charge it off of your computer or laptop, or if you have a battery pack somewhere. So it's got a lot of ways that you can keep this thing charged up so you can keep your information coming. This one even has a little compass here so I know which way I'm going. If I'm lost and I have this with me. I'm not quite sure. But I tell you, after the hurricane came through, just trying to stay connected and understand what's going on, a little radio like this can be very, very useful. The reason why you want one that's got AM, FM, and weather bands is because you want to be able to tune into your local news. And during, when we had the hurricane and after the hurricane, there were still some of the local radio stations that had generators, so they were able to transmit, and they were able to get information out on where you could go to get water, where there was shelter, where there was food. So having something like this is a really important tool to have. And I'll take a look at adding this to my Amazon store. Whenever you look at my videos, you'll see I have a link to an Amazon store, and you can go there. And usually it's just my tools, but I'll see about adding a link for this as well. Yeah, I'm an affiliate, and so I get a little bit of money out of it. I'm just trying to make it easy for you all to find the stuff you want. You don't even have to use that. Just go to Amazon right now and look for a weather radio, and you'll probably see this thing. They come in a whole bunch of colors. So I don't know why I got the green. Probably should have gotten, yellow. Like that would have made a lot of sense. So I really don't know why I got the green. Anyway, make sure you get one of those because that's very handy to have. So let's see. Ed Weber, welcome. Great to have you here. Plane Scrapper says he has two weather radios, one AC wall plug, one battery and hand crank. Yeah, yep, that's the way to do it, man. That's the way to do it. All right, so our industrial metal for our discussion is copper. Let's get over to copper. So, what's going on with copper? It was up for a while. It's back down. Here, let's just get right over here to our candlestick charts, and we don't need to look at the year. Let's take a look at the 1 month period. Every candlestick is 1 hour. What we can see was that we were at a high back here on February 14th, and then we fell off really fast. And from around the 17th through now, we've been sort of up and down and up and down here. Let me zoom in on that one a bit so you all can see that more clearly. And what's driving this right now? Well, we've got there's the question of will there be tariffs on copper? Now, the tariffs right now are steel and aluminum, and then country focused tariffs. Copper has not had a direct tariff yet, and so the markets are trying to scratch their head, going, "Will there be a tariff? Will there not be a tariff?" We're starting to see some of the futures markets baking in around a 10% tariff on copper. And of course, that could get really weird if that happens because, just for instance, right here in the U.S., we make last year we produced 800,000 tons. No, we imported 800,000 tons of copper. We produced our 850,000 tons of copper. And then we turn some of that copper gets turned into copper wire. And that gets shipped down to Mexico where they make wire harnesses for automobiles and comes back. That's on the tune of 220-ish tons. So, copper, there's a lot of copper moving back and forth. Plus, the Mexican border, the Canadian border. So if there was an additional tariff on copper, that could really throw a lot of questions into what's going on with the market. So that is kind of playing on copper a little bit right now because folks just don't know what's going to happen with copper. And then of course you got the tariffs. Now add into that you've got China talking about fiscal stimulus again. We've got tightening of the U.S. copper supply. There's folks saying that, and China is predicting that they will increase their copper ore production about 5 to 10% over the next couple of years. Chile is forecasted to increase their copper from ore production or virgin copper production around 3%. So there is the possibility that there could be a copper surplus moving forward, and of course that would not be great for our copper scrap prices. Right now, though, copper is doing pretty good. If we take a look at this, remember this is just the 6 month. Let me go back to the flatline chart because that's a little easier to see. And if we go out in the 5-year look, we're doing pretty good, right? If you look at where we are here at roughly 4.5, dollars a pound, we're at the higher end of where it's been for the last 5 years. When we look at the 10 year, we're at the higher end of where it's been for the 10 year. So you can't really complain about copper prices right now. We're doing pretty good. Um, and that's why you want to keep your copper moving, because we're doing pretty good for copper prices. And it's very unlikely that copper is going to climb back up here to these $5 range anytime terribly soon. Um, but you know what? Let's do. Let's go back here to the 1 year chart. Let's go take a look at the forecast and let's see what they're saying. Wow, that doesn't look very good, does it? Let's see. Let's go here and here. Take a look at this part of the chart in particular. What you see is they're forecasting for prices to come down before they recover again. And what are they saying for the copper is expected to trade at 4.33 by the end of this quarter. And macroeconomic models and analysis looking forward, we're estimating it at 4.58 in the next 12 months. So, yeah, dropping off, climbing back again. Again, it's just going to be some ups and downs, but nothing fantastic one way or the other. Not like gold. No, certainly not like gold. All right. So, keep your copper moving. That's my recommendation. Just keep your copper moving. It's the prices are pretty good right now, and if you're banking on copper to go really crazy up there, I don't see it happening. But again, my approach to copper is I keep about 10% behind. That way, if there is a sudden spike, I can take advantage of it. But otherwise, I am keeping my cash flow moving, which is what I need. So let's see, what are you all doing with your copper? I'm really curious. Let's go look at the comments here as we've been talking about copper. Let's see. Ed Weber is saying that he just got 3.9 a pound for Bear Bright. He's saying aluminum is also up at his yard, East Tennessee area. Okay, very cool. JR Cat was talking with a yard owner on Wednesday. He said they're just in the wait and see mode. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I can see that. William doesn't think that the tariffs are going to amount to much. Okay. JR Cat got 385 for Bear Bright. That's the other thing about copper. It's just like aluminum. The price that you get on your scrap is very dependent on what kind of copper it is. I mean, you all know that. I don't think there's, if there's anybody new to this channel and new to scrapping, you'll quickly learn that there's different grades of copper and aluminum and all the scrap that you're taking in. So you need to know the type that you're selling, just like you need to know what type of computer board you're selling. Let's see. Ed Weber got 75 cents a pound for painted aluminum siding. Okay. Yep, that makes a lot of sense that it would be less because it's a lower grade. It's painted. It's probably got some other contaminants in it, so that's why it would be. I wonder, Ed, do you know how that compares to what you had been getting? Do you have some price comparisons there on that one? Scrapping on the Fly has joined us. Welcome, Scrapping on the Fly. Great to have you here. Plain Scrapper says he's been holding his copper pipes over 1 foot long. Otherwise, turn and burn. There you go, man. That's the way you do it. That's a great way to do it. Let's see. Looking for copper comments. Copper comments. That's a cool. I like the way that sounds. Copper comments. Ed Weber says he's selling his copper. All right, very cool. Um, Yeah, this is a good comment here that Williams is making. You look at year over year, you'll see the trend, and you don't worry about the immediate highs and lows. There's a lot of folks that they just look at what they're getting right now. You got to watch that trend, and of course, you all know from watching my live streams that I'm always looking at what's going on for the long term. That's why I go to the charts the way I do to try to see what's going on over the long term with things. Now, it can be a little bit challenging sometimes when you have huge changes in the markets, as with this current U.S. administration throwing tariffs into the big mix here. That can throw the trends into weird patterns. So you want to understand the trends so that when something new happens, you can see how it's affecting the trend. Um, so you got to pay attention to both, but for sure you want to watch the trends. Those are so very important. Yeah, Richard's saying if copper keeps going up, say going, I don't see it going up, a whole lot from where we're at. So I don't think that's going to be a huge concern. But as we talked about a few weeks back, laws regarding scrap and how certain states and localities are trying to combat that very thing, which is really important. Let's see. Oh, do we have somebody new here? Michael TV. Where is that? Where did I miss? Michael TV Studios. Hey, welcome. Great to have you here. Great to have you on board. He had a pickup of some monitors, laptops, and servers. Fun stuff to scrap there. Lots of fun. Ba, 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 ba. I'm looking for any other copper stuff, copper stuff, copper stuff. All right. Well, that was a good talk about what's going on in copper. Some really good comments on copper. So, oh, I got you. All right, Mike. Glad you clarified that. Oh man. Okay, so the last part of our of our time together here, we're going to be talking about tariffs and just sort of a general discussion of tariffs. So I'm really curious what you have seen at your local yards and what your local yard dealers have told you relative to how the tariffs are starting to affect what's going on with the scrap market. Now, again, I just want to remind everybody we don't do politics here, so please don't go down the road of the political side of the tariffs. We want to concentrate on what are the tariffs doing to our scrap market and our scrap world as we understand it. Um, and I appreciate everybody's deference to that because we really want to focus on the nuts and bolts of scrapping and recycling and so how the tariffs are going to influence our world in that respect. Um, One of the things that I think is going to be good for us is that recycled steel and aluminum have been carved out of the tariff. So, just because there was a tariff on steel or a tariff on aluminum, they, when you actually read the details of the orders executing the tariffs, what you see is that recycled steel and aluminum have been excluded and they actually are they have remained excluded because they were excluded from earlier tariffs from a few years back. So the recycled materials have been excluded, which means those are what we deal with a lot can still keep moving across the borders without tariffs on them. Now, where the tariffs will come into play is when the recycled materials get turned into a finished product, and that finished product comes back into the United States. That will have a tariff applied to it. But the recycled metal itself, the bare bright and the insulated copper wire and the types of aluminum that are, that the scrap yards are putting in big trucks and shipping to refiners, that is not being that has not had tariffs applied to it yet. So, and there are organizations out there like REMA, which used to be ISRI, that are working with the current administration to try to keep tariffs off of the recycled materials. So, what a lot of folks are saying is that in the near term, we should expect to see the prices go up for our scrap because as the tariffs get applied to virgin material, the recycled material can, take some of the some up take up some of that burden. So we should see some short-term increases in scrap prices, and I want to know if anybody is seeing that already. Uh, E-Waste Mike put out a video the other day where his scrap steel prices went up to 10 cents a pound. So that's pretty good. Mine is still at 7 cents a pound here. Uh, but again, we're kind of out, in Western North Carolina. Shipping charges become a big deal out here. So I don't know that my yard will really increase a lot, but I'll keep an eye on it and certainly let everybody know. Um, so I'd really like to see if any of you all have started to see any changes in your scrapyard prices. The other thing that we need to understand too is that there's going to be some lag in how the prices start taking hold. So in some cases, they won't actually start getting charged until the middle of March, depending upon the type of material and if it was already, uh, logged in or accounted for. So, there's going to be some lag in the prices getting layered on. And unless you're like really into paying attention to all the details of this stuff, it can get a little bit confusing to to follow along. One of the really interesting things that I found when I was researching in preparation for this show, and I brought it up a couple of weeks ago, was um, how much capacity is there in the U.S. steel market to absorb uh, the idea behind a tariff, of course, is that you put a tariff on, in this case, steel. So imported steel becomes more expensive. So it gives the domestic, in this case, the U.S. market, a chance to increase their production, make more jobs, open up, the market for the domestic suppliers. And so one of the questions, of course, is what is our domestic capacity? And what I discovered is that U.S. mills have been operating at about 75% capacity. So that means that there is the possibility, there is, an opportunity for the U.S. mills to pick up some of that increase. Now, we know what's going to happen. The U.S. mills will increase their prices accordingly. I mean, that's what we see every time a tariff gets applied. Will will companies be able to open more mills? Well, it takes a long time to open a steel mill. So it's unlikely that we would see any new mills come online, but we could see the capacity, the existing capacity, get used more efficiently. So we could see more of that, increase in it from 75 to, 80, 90. I don't know if we'd ever get to 100% capacity because mills still have to shut down for maintenance and that kind of stuff. But we could see the mills increase their capacity, and that means that they would be hiring more workers and maybe add another shift or two shifts or whatever. So there is some possibility going on there. So we have the possibility to see some short term benefits in the scrap world with prices coming up. Long term, a lot of people think that in the long term the prices will come back down again because the U.S. steel makers would increase their prices. The prices of the finished goods go up. You've got inflationary pressures that can occur from this. So there is some issue going on there. And even though the recycled metals have not been included in the tariffs yet, um, there's still a lot of metal that yards need, replacement parts, the teeth for the grinders, the wire for the balers. There's finished steel product that will have tariffs put on it that the yards will have to pay and pass on those costs. So, there could be some longer term impacts to what happens in our market. Now, let's see what you all saw in your yards. My comments just jumped. They went crazy. It's like they were slowing down, and all of a sudden they just jumped. So I got to catch up here. Let's see. Grandpa Kevin saw. By the way, welcome, Grandpa. 0.055 cents per pound in or dollar, so 5.5 cents a pound here in New Jersey. Okay. Everyday Solars has not been to the yard in a while. She's over in the UK, so she doesn't know hasn't seen the prices in the UK yet. Roger is saying that his yard is expecting. Here we are. Yard is expecting an increase for March. First time it's moved in a year. Still at $100 a ton. Okay. Be nice to see for you to see those prices go up, wouldn't it, man? Plain Scrapper says they have a new core in the region, so I have to wonder if demand is going up because others will be competing for resources. We were 8 cents back in January. Okay, and the benefit of Nucor in your area is that they tend to use arc furnaces, so they can use more recycled steel. So you might have you might see some good things going on there. William is more worried about fuel costs. Yeah, that could be an issue. That could be an issue because the mills have to use electricity, and the fuel prices could be going up as a result of this. So that could be an issue too that plays out in the long term. Ed Weber, 8 cents for shred in East Tennessee. Oh man, that's pretty cool. Yeah, because we're at 7 here in Western North Carolina. Ed's got painted 6061 at 65 cents. Okay, cool. A couple folks, chatting about where they're located relative to each other. So that's cool. And okay, so I'm at the bottom of the list now for comments, which is good because we're also at the end of this stream. If you have autoplay enabled, you will be redirected to Ireland, where we're going to head across the pond and join Scrapping Irish and see where else this discussion goes. The really cool thing about Scrapping Irish is that he brings up a panel. He has a lot of comment back and forth. It's a much more give and take, free flowing kind of discussion. Frequently, we carry on from what we've talked about here, but you never know what's going to happen over on Scrapping Irish's live stream. So, again, if you have autoplay enabled, you'll automatically be taken over to Ireland. If you don't, please go to YouTube, look for Scrapping Irish, and join us over in Ireland as we continue to talk about what's happening in the world of scrap and recycling. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you all hopefully next week, assuming we don't have any bad weather. I'll plan it to be up next week. Take care, everybody. Be safe.